Welcome into Coach Craig's Sports. This is the NBA DFS Core Pick video, Core Pick live stream for today, February 14th. As always, going to be doing a recap of yesterday's picks since we did have a video live stream out yesterday. Going to be talking through some injuries in play for tonight's slate. It's a 5-game main slate overall. And then going over to both DraftKings and FanDuel and talking about some core picks for today. Welcome in everybody that is tuning in, whether you're watching live right now or if you're watching on replay. If you guys have any questions throughout the video, feel free to leave it in the live chat or down in the comments, and I'll get back to you guys as quickly as possible. But without further ado, we'll get started with a recap of yesterday's picks. On the DraftKings side, at the point guard position, we went with Devontae Graham at $3,500. Looking for 17, 18.7. He got to 29.75, so he was a really good hit yesterday. Almost, 10 times the value there, but probably closer to 9 times value. Jordan Poole at shooting guard, we had at $7,800, looking for 39.7. He's been playing really well as of late. Yesterday, unfortunately, was not quite his day. He got to 24.5 points, so he was a mess. Only ended up playing 30 minutes, 4 for 11 shooting, and might have had a little bit of foul trouble in there. Lost a couple of minutes due to that. Andrew Wiggins kind of did a little bit more scoring than he typically does, so that hurt Jordan Poole overall today. If you want to go back to hurt him yesterday, but if you want to go back to Jordan Poole today, I don't really have any qualms with that, as the Warriors are on the back-to-back and Klay Thompson is likely not playing today overall. So there is opportunities there for him once again today. Then at small forward, we have Nazir Little at $3,300, looking for 16, 17.7, got to 19.25, so he was a hit as well. And then we get down to power forward with Jabari Smith, $5,000. Looking for 25.7, got 27.5, so he was a hit as well. And then last but not least, we have Mark Williams at $4,000, looking for 20.7, got to 28.75, so he was 7 times value there, so he was a good hit as well. So we had the one lone miss in Jordan Poole yesterday. If you had 3 other decent plays on the DraftKings side, you still had a decent chance of cashing yesterday. Then on the FanDuel side, we had Jordan Poole once again. He was technically at the point guard position on the FanDuel side yesterday. $7,800, looking for 39.7. Same story as on DraftKings. Got to 20.8 points, so he was a miss. 30 minutes, 4 for 11 shooting, maybe a little bit of foul trouble in there as well. Really impacted him overall, but still not afraid to go back to him once again today. And then at shooting guard, we have Benedict Mathurin at $4,400. We were looking for 22 points down. He got to 28.8, so he was a really good hit yesterday as well. Brandon Ingram been really doing well as of late, playing 36 minutes a game or so, getting over 40 points yesterday. Not quite his day, $7,800. We were looking for 39 out of him. Got to 34.3, so he was a mess. Mainly scored the ball yesterday, and then the 6 turnovers is really what killed him overall. Let's just say he only has 1 turnover. Then he would have paid off at his price tag overall yesterday. At power forward, we had Lauri Markkanen, $7,600. Probably one of the easier plays yesterday. Looking for 38.7, got to 42.2, so he was a hit as well. And then last but not least, we have Mark Williams at the center position once again. $5,200, so we're looking for 26.7, got to 32, so he is a hit as well. So 3 out of 5 on the FanDuel side, a little bit tougher day over there all on that side. But if you had 4 other decent plays, you still had a chance to cash yesterday as well. But with that being said, going to get off of the recap screen, go over to the injuries for today's screen, and kind of talk through them all. So one, it's a 5 overall. It's a Tuesday, pretty typical Tuesday there. We have 2 games starting right at 7:30 Eastern time. So the first one we do have is the Boston Celtics. And at this point in time, there's no Jaylen Brown, there's no Danilo Gallinari, and there's no Marcus Smart. So 2 starters missing there. We have Jason Tatum listed as doubtful due to illness today. So a 3rd starter that is missing at this point in time. Grant Williams listed as questionable. Robert Williams is also questionable. So Robert Williams would be a 4th starter out if he were to miss. So we could be looking at Al Horford and a couple guys off the bench essentially too as well, especially since Derek White, who had been starting at times this year too, is not one of the guys that would be out there. But typically that core starting 5 that they would like out there more times than not for those guys would be missing overall. Malcolm Brogdon's listed as probable, although he did miss the most recent game they did have. So a lot of potential value on the Celtics team overall today. Obviously, I think Al Horford is going to look pretty good, especially if Robert Williams misses. Grant Williams, if he ends up playing, could look pretty good. Sam Hauser's actually played pretty well in extended minutes as of late. Derek White's played exceptionally well. And Malcolm Brogdon could be very much in play if he's able to go tonight as well. On the Milwaukee Bucks side, they have Jay Crowder and Bobby Portis out once again. Pat Connaughton and Giannis Antetokounmpo both listed as probable to play tonight, so not too much that we're looking at from the Milwaukee Bucks side. For the Magic, they are on the back-to-back, so there could be some injury news as that changes throughout the day. But as of right now, we have RJ Hampton listed as out. Sounds like they might end up cutting him pretty soon. Gogo Batazzi, they just signed a contract. He's listed as out tonight as well. And then Cole Anthony listed as questionable. Ended up as a late scratch yesterday due to a wrist injury. For the Toronto Raptors, OG Anunoby remains out. Gary Trent and Precious Achua both listed as questionable. Achua got hurt in their most recent game, and Gary Trent missed their most recent game. So I think there's a decent chance that both these guys end up missing tonight, which could open up some value for the Toronto team overall. Then we move over to the Sacramento Kings, which is a 9 o'clock start time game for those East Coast folk. And we got Malik Monk and KZ Okpala both out today. So obviously Malik Monk not playing is going to solidify some of those minutes for Kevin Huerter today. We might see a little bit of Terrence Davis off the end of the bench too. So if you want to take a GPP pay down option on him today, you could definitely do that. On the Phoenix Suns side, they are without Kevin Durant, Cameron Payne, and Landry Shamet once again. So we have this expected starting lineup, kind of like what we've seen in recent games. Chris Paul, Devin Booker, Josh Okogie, Torrey Craig, and DeAndre Ayton is the expected, but we do have TJ Warren that could be in the mix now. We do have Darius Bazley, who could also be in the mix now. So we'll just kind of have to see how that rotation shakes out for them overall tonight. Then we Warriors is one of those 10 o'clock games, and we have Gary Payton II still out, Steph Curry still out. This is a back-to-back as well. Andre Iguodala listed as doubtful. Klay Thompson technically is listed as questionable, but he does not play back-to-back, so safe to assume that he's out once again tonight. And then we do have JaMychal Green listed as questionable as well. I believe he is dealing with a little bit of a wrist injury that may have happened in last night's game or the previous game before that. On the Clippers side, they are actually all the way healthy at this point in time, so not too much to talk about from their end. But that Golden State lineup, we'll see if anybody else gets ruled out on the back-to-back today. There could be a lot of potential value opening up throughout the day. And then as always, when it comes to injuries and everything else like that, I will have that down in the comments throughout the day as well. And then last but not least, we get down to that Washington and Portland game. Both these teams are on back-to-backs. We probably don't have the most up-to-date injury news at this point in time. Kyle Kuzma missed yesterday, might end up missing once again today. Then for the Portland side, we have Joseph Nurkic still looks like he's going to be out. Justice Winslow, Jeremy Grant, and Baji all listed as questionable at this point in time. But we'll see if there's any more updates throughout the day as both these teams are on the back-to-back tonight. But with that being said, that's kind of a quick little rundown on all the injuries in play for tonight. The ones we're probably particularly going to be watching, Kyle Kuzma, Jeremy Grant for that light game there. Any Warriors news that does come out, whether they're playing these guys or whether they're going to rest them, safe to assume that Klay Thompson's out once again tonight. And then we get up to the top with that Raptors news, Gary Trent, Precious Achua, and then that Boston Celtics news, primarily Grant Williams overall. So pretty simple from terms of injuries, but as I already did mention, I will be updating all the injuries down in the comments throughout the day. So make sure you're checking back as we get closer to lock as well. But with that being said, we're going to stop the sharing the screen for the injuries. We're going to move over to DraftKings and talk about some core picks for early on for today overall. So on the DraftKings side at the point guard position, going to go with Markelle Fultz here. He's $5,600, pretty reasonable price tag there. Looking for 28 points down. He's shown some pretty good upside in recent games as well. He's averaging about 29 fantasy points per game on the season. Currently, I'm projected for 30. Obviously, if Cole Anthony does not end up playing tonight, he's going to look even better as well. Then at shooting guard, we have Bradley Beal. He's $8,000. We're looking for 40 points out of him. He's been playing extremely well once again since his minutes have been ramped back up. Portland's, kind of that middle of the pack defense. They're nothing to be afraid of at this point in time. Currently have Beal projected for 40 to 42 currently have Beal projected for 42 to 43 points tonight, which makes him one of the better plays at that shooting guard position overall tonight. At small forward, we're going to go with Matisse Thybulle on the opposite end of that game. He's only $3,000 flat minimum, ended up getting the start last night and played about 26 minutes, played really well on that too. He had a couple 3-pointers, was very active, especially in scoring the ball, which is not something we typically expect from him. Not trying to point chase too much there, but a flat minimum guy that's in the starting lineup. Currently having projected for 18, 19 points tonight, but definitely has a little bit of upside for more as well. And then we move down to power forward. This was the spot where I really struggled for a core pick today. I just went with Marcus Morris for the Clippers. Since he's a cheaper guy, he's $4,200. You're only looking for 21 points at him. He's averaging 23.5 on the season and kind of paced up spot against Golden State. Have currently projected for anywhere between 20 to 22 points. So he's a relatively safe guy. If you just want to pay all the way up to Giannis, I wouldn't blame you there whatsoever. He's just a little bit expensive on the DraftKings side tonight, but definitely could be worth that price tag overall. And then last but not least, at that center position, went with Al Horford, $5,000, looking for 25 points down, essentially what he's averaging so far on the season. And there's so many guys missing on this Boston Celtics team overall that he's going to have to kind of take that extra step up tonight. Currently, I'm projected for 26, 27 points, but definitely has a ton of upside for more, especially if he's out there. He's facilitating a little bit in terms of his assists. He might get a couple extra rebounds. He might take a couple extra shots. And you're just taking the average Al Horford game, making it just a little bit better. And he's going to look like a pretty good play overall on tonight's slate. But with that being said, if you go with these 5 players that I do have listed here, you'll have $24,200 remaining, just over $8,000 per player. So a lot of room and flexibility still there. If you want to pay up for Giannis, you can definitely do that. If you want to pay up for Damian Lillard, you can also do that as well. Or if you want to take a little bit more balanced build, you can definitely do that as well. So lots of different options on tonight's slate. Could be some other values that do open up throughout the day as well. But with that being said, we're going to get off of the DraftKings screen. We're going to go over to FanDuel and talk about my core picks over there as well. So FanDuel is a little bit tighter on tonight's slate overall. We're going to be talking about a few different guys here, but we're going to start off at point guard once again with Markelle Fultz, $6,400 on the FanDuel side. So we're looking for 32 points out. He's averaging just over 29 on the season. Decent matchup against Toronto in terms of point guards. Not really afraid of Fred VanVleet from a defensive perspective. Markelle Fultz is a guy that can score the ball a little bit as well. He's a guy that can have those big steal games as well, which will benefit you a little bit more on the FanDuel side. Once again, if Cole Anthony is unable to go tonight, just makes that floor for Markelle Fultz just a little bit higher. Currently having projected for 31 points on the FanDuel side tonight. And then at shooting guard, going with Dante DiVincenzo. I do assume that Klay Thompson's out tonight. I assume that DiVincenzo takes his place in the starting lineup. Plays, like 30, 32 minutes tonight. Looks all right overall. Currently I'm projected for 26, 27 points. Pretty good point per dollar play at this point in time. Maybe some other guys get ruled out for Golden State. Maybe makes him look a little bit better as well, especially like if you're missing like an Andrew Wiggins, if you're missing a Draymond Green, then DiVincenzo, a guy that's able to do a little bit of everything, is going to look just a little bit better overall. And then we move down to small forward once again with Matisse Thybulle. He's only $3,700. On the FanDuel side, $200 over the flat minimum. Everything I said on DraftKings still applies. He was in that starting lineup last night. I assume Jeremy Grant's not playing once again tonight, by the way, because he's supposedly dealing with a concussion. If he's actually dealing with a concussion, he's in a protocol. Safe to assume that he's probably not going to play once again tonight. Matisse Thybulle, if he gets that start once again, if he plays that 26, 28 minutes like he kind of did last night, going to look pretty good overall. Do think there's a lot to be had there, especially if he's going to shoot the ball just a little bit better like he did last night once again. But you're talking FanDuel perspective. You're talking a guy that's one of the premier defenders in all of basketball, getting steals, getting blocks. You get that extra point on the FanDuel side as opposed to the DraftKings side for those steals and blocks, makes them just a little bit more valuable. Plus, you have that super cheap price tag at the same time. Then at power forward, we're just going to Giannis. Pretty simple pay up option here at $12,000. You can definitely afford him on the FanDuel side. Might be a little bit trickier today to fit Giannis and like a Damian Lillard together, but you can definitely make it work on the FanDuel side if you want to. There's quite a few different value plays out there, whether it's a shooting guard, a small forward, or maybe even paying down a little bit at that power forward spot. The other power forward spot's a little bit tricky today. Not a ton of guys that I really love there at this point in time, unless you're playing a center there and playing our next guy, Al Horford, up at that power forward spot overall. But don't really have to say too much for Giannis. He's $12,000. We're looking for 60 points out. I got projected for 61 tonight. So pretty simple play. Don't have to say too much about him. And obviously the upside is tremendous. Then at that center position, we're going right back to Al Horford. He's really the only guy that projects out like close to 5x for me on the FanDuel side. There's some other guys that could have some good upside as well, whether it's like a Domantas Sabonis, who's kind of been struggling a little bit from a fantasy perspective as of late, or, like a Jakob Poeltl hitting some upside without Precious Achiuwa or someone like that, or DeAndre Ayton kind of having some GPP upside as well. But Al Horford feels like the safest one today. Currently, I'm projected for 26 points at that $5,300. Obviously, we're looking for 26, 27 out of him. If all these other guys are out once again, like they're supposed to be, Al Horford's going to be looking very, very well. If he's facilitating a little bit more on offense, if he's rebounding the ball a little bit more, if he's shooting the ball just a little bit more, Al Horford, take that normal game, expand it a little bit more, and he's going to look pretty good overall, and probably one of the safer center plays on tonight's game overall, unless the Boston Celtics just get completely blown out of the water and then he loses a bunch of minutes like that, which is a something that could happen against the Milwaukee Bucks, since the Bucks are a good team and the Celtics are obviously missing, 3 or 4 starters at this point in time, but they still are one of the teams that have some pretty good depth overall at that as well. But with that being said, these are the 5 picks that I do have for the FanDuel side as well today. If you go with these 5 guys, you have $27,200 remaining. $6,800 per player. So I kind of mentioned mixing and matching today. You can do a lot of different ways, whether you want to do a balance build, whether you want to pay up for another star player like a Damian Lillard, someone like that, whether it's Paul George, Kawhi Leonard, Bradley Beal, anyone like that, you could do as well. And then kind of mix and match from there, since there are some decent value plays, at least early on today, and there could be more opening up throughout the day as well. But with that being said, that's pretty much what I do have in terms of core picks for today. If anybody listening still has any questions, feel free to leave them in the chat. If you're watching on replay, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. Also, with those questions, just make sure you're noting whether they are more FanDuel or DraftKings specific, since obviously prices between the two different sites can affect things a little bit as well. Some of the scoring, where FanDuel you get extra scoring for steals and blocks, and DraftKings you get extra scoring for 3 points made. So that's kind of what we're talking about now. And I do appreciate everybody that did tune in at this point in time. If you're looking for some prize pick stuff, be sure to follow me on Twitter at CoachCraigSport. Been doing a lot of prize pick content there during the week as well. Might get some videos here and there throughout the week, but right now, so far this month, I think it's 15 or 16 hits that we've had in terms of the props that I've given, and then 7 misses. But all the days that I have given them, there's only been one day that hasn't been profitable if you've been out there and you've been using it as a flex, especially in the 3 player props, which is the one that I do prefer myself. But definitely be sure to check those out. We went 3 out of 4 yesterday. The only lone one that did not end up hitting was Jordan Poole. So pretty solid day all around. If you guys have any questions related to NBA DFS, probably feel free to leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to them as quickly as possible. But do appreciate everybody that did take the time out of their day to tune in, whether you're watching on the live stream or on replay. As always, if you are someone that's brand new to the channel, have not yet subscribed, please consider doing so. Definitely would appreciate it. Helps to build the community that we're trying to build here at Coach Craig Sports. Also, be sure to check out the Patreon, patreon.com/CoachCraigSports. Do put my initial player pool up for the day there. Anybody that's projecting out 5 times value or higher, or looks like a good, reasonable GPP play, somebody that has some pretty good upside at that as well. And then, as always, be sure to check out that price pick tweets coming out throughout the day over on my Twitter at Coach Craig Sports, as I already mentioned. And then in the coming days, in the coming weeks, we'll be doing some NFL draft content. Be sure to check out the Twitter spaces over at the sports affiliate. Did an interview with Will Wallace over there, talk some NBA trade deadline as well. And then this week as well, probably on Friday, I'll be doing a live stream to talk some to talk some XFL DFS as well. So if that's something you're interested in, definitely be sure to check that out as well. But with that being said, that's all I have for today's video, for today's live stream. Hopefully you guys all enjoyed. And then once again, as always, if you have any more questions, feel free to leave them down in the comments and I'll get back to you as quickly as possible. And with that being said, I do appreciate everybody that did tune in, whether you're watching live or on replay. And I hope each and every one of you has a great rest of your day.